settle the score. Rubber fire screams into the night. Crash and burn is what you're gonna do. I am the master of the asphalt fight. They all said I'd best give it up. What a fool to believe their lies. Now they've fallen, I'm at the top. Are you ready now to die? I came out from the bottom and into the top. For the first time I feel alive. I can fly like an eagle, strike like a hawk. Do you think you can survive? I came out from the bottom and into the top. For the first time I feel alive. I can fly like an eagle, strike like a hawk. Do you think you can survive? The top.
What were you thinking telling me to change my game? This style wasn't going anywhere. It was kaput. Don't you see what I've done with this place? This whole thing? Don't you see that I've changed the game? No, I am the game. Before I knew where this was going, I would listen to you. Right now, I distance myself from whatever you have to say. I made this something way bigger than you are ever going to be. I made it this far, and I'm taking it to the top.
I came out from the bottom and into the top. For the first time I feel alive. I can fly like an eagle, strike like a hawk. Do you think you can survive? I came out from the bottom and into the top. For the first time I feel alive. I can fly like an eagle, strike like a hawk. Do you think you can survive? The top. I came out from the bottom and into the top. For the first time I feel alive. I can fly like an eagle, strike like a hawk. Do you think you can survive? I came out from the bottom and into the top. For the first time I feel alive. I can fly like an eagle, strike like a hawk. Do you think you can survive? The top.
Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and I write games for fun, so what are we doing today? Well everybody, we're going to be doing what we usually do after the next selection of games have been chosen, and it didn't do... OBS! Let's just readjust. Okay, we're good now, everything is fine. Hello everybody, it's been a while. Now, I'm gonna just do a quick rundown. Notepad, where have you been? I moved to a new place, and I couldn't get my internet transferred over because let me just surmise this really easily. Because Comcast is run by fucking morons, and in turn my building is apparently created by fucking Satan. It's an old bit. It was a combination of a dozen little factors that all came together to be a big retard hoedown. This Sunday I might do a stream of just me doing, you know, the Comcast saga of like, this is just what occurred and the suffering that I underwent. Yes, I am back, I am alive, and the next set of games is actually chosen, and I had to announce them via Discord, not how I usually announce them here, but if we go to where we need to go. Oh, a second. Da, 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 da. Hello. Every now and again it likes to log out. It's great. Yeah, retard hoedown. The newest TRPG. Yeah, it was just kind of a mess. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of just a fucking disaster area. But I have moved into my new apartment. It's nice. It's very spacious. It has its quirks. I'm not gonna lie, it has its quirks. And audio is gonna be a little different because it is a bigger location. And yeah, I have a strange feeling some of the audio is gonna start bouncing and do some weird stuff there. There's some things I can probably do to help that, or move my desk around a little bit to kind of get a better, more optimized look on things. I haven't done that. Out of the basement pog chat. See, the worst part is, you joke Ironside, however, how the building is built, I am technically underground, slightly. I have moved into the basement, in fact. I moved from the 4th floor to the 1st floor of a completely different place, and now I'm underground. I have become the basement dwarf. I am your basement gnome. You will not be able to get rid of me now. Feed me chicken bones and no one gets hurt. But yes. There we go. We're regressing. But yes, the 3 games actually that got selected were, if I, you can go over here now, were Cruelty Squad, the Physical Sensation Edition, we also had Trenchfoot get selected. Yes, Trenchfoot actually got selected, which I thought was very nice. It is actually a war game, and much to the rapturous applause of some and the absolute groaning of others, Monster Girl Adventures Remonstered. Because, yep, these were the 3 that got chosen in this order, actually. So Cruelty Squad, Trenchfoot, into Monster Girl Adventures. Generally speaking, this is going to be a weird one. It's going to be a real weird one. Simply because all of these have their own unique quirks. All of them have their own unique issues to address. However, being cut off from the outside world did give me some time to reflect. Did give me some time to think. So, welcome to Cruelty Squad's Schizo Notes. Generally speaking, we're going to be doing something a little bit strange with Cruelty Squad, because I hate you. I want you all to remember that. I hate you. And because I hate you, I wanted to create something weird. I wanted to make something different. Let me actually get these up to the right size again, because they're not the right size anymore. Okay, I'll just select everything and delete it because nothing is right. My life is falling apart. So, what's the big thing with, Cruelty Squad, the Physical Sensation Edition? Well, it's based off the hit video game, the authentic hit video game, Cruelty Squad. What is Trenchfoot? Trenchfoot is a World War I war game, but it's completely RNG-less. That was my one thing. But yes, Cruelty Squad, the first one that's kind of going to be on our list right now. The one I've actually done some work on already, trying to get the basics of it set up, because generally I felt that was important. So we line everything up here. Why is nothing set up the right way? Everything is broken in my life. Everything is wrong and bad, and no, didn't mean to click, 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 click. I also played a lot more Dune Spice Wars than I should, so I've been hitting control click to select I've been clicking the control click to select multiple things, and it just isn't working. It's not liking what I'm doing. This is the Gorbino's quest of tabletop RPGs. Yes, it is the Gorbino's quest of tabletop RPGs, because I gave myself a very deliberate set of ideas, and I beat the entirety of Cruelty Squad over the weekend. Yes, I got all 3 endings. I S-ranked a few missions. I wanted to complete everything I could about it. I wanted to delve deep into the lore and deep into the concepts of the game. And I'm gonna give you all a secret here. Games fucking batshit crazy near the end there. However, I quite enjoy it. I enjoy Cruelty Squad. Is it a flawless game? Absolutely not. It looks like a used cereal box. You know, it does look like cereal box mascots half the time, but that's half the charm. Now, the big thing is I gave myself a very unique restriction. And that very unique restriction was this. Central system relies heavily on the arbitrary difficulty, which is the size of the die being rolled, all of which are odd. Yes, there are no even dice in this game. I don't hate myself that much. Fuck you. I'm not that. I'm still doing some runs. Ow. But yes. Everything is going to be using odd dice. And what do I mean by odd dice? Well, there's not going to be a single die which is going to be based on a even number. It's not going to be D4, D6, D8. No. It's going to be D3, D7, D9, D11, etc., etc. Now, what's the actual resolution mechanic? It's going to be the idea of the central system, because you're trying to achieve your center. However, so, how do you determine what the center of a die is? Well, a D3 is actually pretty standard, pretty simple. What is between the highest and the lowest? It's 2. So, a D3 would need you to hit 2. However, a D83, if we do a little bit of basic mathematics, we're going to need to hit 42. That is the center of the die. 42, or it is pretty much anything can be used, and anytime you need to make a check, anytime you need to say, okay, I need to roll or make a make a check of some kind, you're going to be rolling one of these dice. You're going to be rolling a D7 and trying to hit 5, or roll a D11 and try to hit 6. Why? Because I hate you. Again, this was a weird game. I wanted to go out of my way to make something completely fucking insane. But still functional. That's the big thing. Insane, but functional. That was my very specific requirements to myself. Now, we'll do the odd die system. System trying to hit the... Hello, phone. What do you need, phone? You're gonna tell me something exciting, something cool? How was my day? Slow and decent. Slow and decent. Currently streaming. Thank you very much, Mama. I want to make sure that I'm doing good. And my phone is also dinging because Robinhood's like, you've invested in crypto, why? You can also use the Ubiquity for a dice format too. That is true. I'm gonna go work on my cat boy. Look, I'm too dumb. Yeah. Yeah. The entire concept is that you want to try to hit your center. The more difficult a task is, the higher the die value is going to end up being. Now, how are you going to mitigate this? Obviously, rolling, it's a 1 out of 7. That's a pretty shitty odds. However, how you're going to mitigate this is pretty simple. We're going to be mitigating this at its core by using skills. Now, skills are all going to be based around pretty simple ideas. So, for example, with a D9, having a 1 in a skill means that you're going to hit your center going 1 in either direction, including the center. So, using kind of the example of the D9, is for a D9 with no skill. With no skill, you need to hit 5. That is your absolute center. And if you do it, you're going to succeed at the task. However, if you have skill 1, that 9 becomes a 4 to 6. If you have 2 skill in something, it's going to become a 3 to 7. If you have 4 skills, it's going to be 2 to 8. And finally, if you have 9, it's going to be 1 to 9. So it's kind of the idea that every skill you have, the more skills that you actually possess, the easier that it widens the berth, you could say, of, hey, I rolled a 7 and I needed a 5, but I have 2 skills, so I've succeeded because that's within my center still. So it's kind of giving people a little bit more room to maneuver. Most checks, what I'm going to be most checks, you could say, are going to be based around probably around D7 to D13. These are going to be the most common checks available, but I want to encourage, there's going to be entire notes in the game being like, if you feel they're going to do something stupid, then do something stupid. Have them roll a D34 for it and make fun of them and laugh at them because it's funny. Actually, it would be a D33 because we got to make it all odd. Yeah, so it's kind of along the idea that this isn't a complicated system. There's just going to be a lot of little things to it, which, like Cruelty Squad itself, is not entirely... Notepad played Cruelty Squad, immediately bought crypto, tried to afford a BIOS like that. No, actually, fun fact. I have exactly 666 Dogecoin. I bought that about a year and a half ago at this point. And at a year and a half ago, it cost me $5 worth of Dogecoin was exactly 666. So I bought it, $5 worth. And every now and again, I check how much it's actually worth. At its absolute height, I had made $195 roughly off a $5 investment, which I thought was actually very fascinating for people who like dumped way more money than me. People were making bank on Doge. But now, since Elon owns the internet, we can't. Everyone buy Doge, please. Elon's holding our families hostage. But let's actually take notes here. Oh yeah, so we have the health states. The basic concepts of the health states are going to be reflective of the difficulty levels in Cruelty Squad, which is our, quote, basic health. Actually, we're going to have Divine Light, which is going to be 100 health. We're going to have Pain Threshold, which is going to be 200, if I remember correctly. Yes, 200. And and our final one is obviously going to be Meat at 500 health. Now, I can't necessarily just replicate the actual health system. That's going to be very difficult because that's percentage damages and things like that. I'm not going to try to do that because I hate percentages in games. They get a little bit wiggity wonkety, so I don't want to deal with them very much. However, this can also reflect it pretty hard. So the fact that the idea is that if you have Divine Light, you only have 100 HP. However, if you die too many times, which I'm going to put a note over here, and we can just actually copy paste this, which is the idea of the number of times that you've been genetically revived. Because one of the big concepts of Cruelty Squad is that all of the elites and pretty much anyone remotely important, anytime you die, you can get automatically genetically resurrected. Which, And you've probably seen the Divine Light Severed. You are a flesh automaton powered by neurotransmitters thing go around. That's literally what it is, hey, you've died, your humanity is gone, you are a flesh automaton powered by neurotransmitters. Which, if you die too often, you end up in power and misery mode. Power and misery means you don't have to pay for genetic redistribution. It's free now. However, there's a problem. You don't feel anything anymore. All you feel is numb, and you eat corpses for food. That's it. Ta-da. Now, this is also going to tie into a kind of a special one. So, if you're in Divine Light, you've never been resurrected. If you enter a flesh automaton, you've only been resurrected once. Power and misery means that you've been resurrected 4 times, and you can't really get any worse than that. Now, you may be saying, hey, isn't it just better that I go enter meat, power, and misery because I get 500 health? There's no downside necessarily. And the answer is, there isn't a downside. Outside the fact that I'm going to have a section in the game, a section in the book, effectively describing, how do I want to word this, which is, so state of being reflects more description and problem solving. With one of the core concepts being, at Divine Light, you're getting the full description, you're getting the full picture. You are seeing exactly what's occurring. At Flesh Automaton, you're seeing things very basic. You're seeing things the most efficient, easy way possible. Power and Misery, you're barely seeing anything, and it's just there. So, for example, you open a door, there's a man with a gun there, he's aiming, and there's a man with a gun trying to grab his gun, trying to shoot you. Divine Light is, you open the door, there's a man with a gun, he has a revolver, he's trying to aim it at you, he's trying to go, you have the jump on him, effectively. Flesh Automaton, it might be something along the lines of, there's a person there, there's a firearm there, he is trying to grab it to shoot you. Power and Misery is, there's a target, there's a weapon, he's trying to kill you. The actual description becomes a lot more vague, and it becomes a lot more difficult to understand. Or Divine Light, you may say, hey, the target is among the crowd. You can see him, you're trying to get to him to kill him. Flesh Automaton is, hey, the person you're trying to kill is somewhere in there, you don't quite know exactly where, but if you look for him, you can probably find him. Power and Misery is, there's a person in there. Just kill them all. Who fucking cares? You shouldn't. You are a flesh automaton. You are powered by misery. You don't care anymore. So, description and problem solving, and this also ties to Hope Eradicated, which is kind of this special one. Which Hope Eradicated is, you have only, what did I end up calling the health? Yes, you have, instead of health, you have death, which is only 50 HP, which doesn't really seem like a lot, and that's the point. It's a very little amount of health. However, Hope Eradicated gives you hyper description, though. So kind of the idea of, using there's a guard with a gun. It's, you open the door, you can clearly see the man is there. He's kind of grinning a little bit because he's like completely whacked out on something. You don't know what the fuck he's going for. He is going for a .38 revolver. He damn well knows he can hit you with that, and you're pretty confident there's 4 bullets in it. He's been playing with one, you see him chewing on it. So, you can probably get to the gun before he can fire it. And you're pretty damn sure or you can just pop him once. It's fine. Again, graphic detail. But that detail is, is corrupted in a way. There's something wrong. Which is the idea of Hope Eradicated. You've entered this, you are in the worst possible state in existence right now, and the world wants you to know it. And that's kind of the issue. hyper description with, quote, unrightness. But you can't just enter Hope Eradicated. That's kind of the idea. That Hope Eradicated is a state of being that is difficult. Now, the flower combat map, we'll do combat, the combat system, which the combat system isn't quite the focus, but it is a big focus. So this is going to be using the flower combat map. Now, the flower combat map is pretty simply, there's going to be a circle in the middle and 6 petals surrounding it. That's 6 petals. Yeah, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And the entire idea, well, this is actually a fucking terrible description because I can't draw. So we use 1 on the top, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. Come on, draw a circle. There we go. So it's kind of along the idea that you can always target who's ever next to you and the center. Which kind of means longer range weapons can target further distances away, and it's kind of a very vague understanding of how the combat's playing out, kind of representing the more chaotic gunfights you can get into. Because fun fact, you don't want to get into gunfights. Gunfights suck. Mostly because of how health is going to work. Health is going to be using the same. So damage is equal to a odd dice roll. So, for example, I remember what the exact, it's the Parasonic Cruelty Squad, the Parasonic MP1 Nailer. There we go. So if we're using this one for an example, the Nailer, which is using depleted uranium shells, for God's sakes. Parasonic MP1 Nailer. Actually, we'll use a D2 silence pistol. Everybody likes the Parasonic D2. So, there we go. Parasonic D2 silence pistol may do something like D9, may do something like D13 damage, which D13 damage doesn't actually seem like a lot, and that's the point. It's not really supposed to do a lot of damage. Because, fun fact, if you want to deal with somebody, you just sneak up behind them and shoot them in the back of the head. If they don't find you, they don't detect you, you're going to kill them. Because that's how that works. However, something more dangerous, like we'll do the Parasonic MP1 Nailer, because I like this gun, because it's a fun gun, may do something akin to like D8, may do something akin to like a D33 damage. But it also attacks twice, or attacks like 3 times. D33 doesn't seem like a lot. However, D33 and you have 50 health means that you could die immediately. And violently. Which is kind of one of the reasons, like, you want to avoid combat, but combat's also very good. So that's kind of like the idea behind fighting, but let's see. That reminds me, I gotta post this before I forget about it. We're gonna put this right up here. Do it like right there. Because it wouldn't be a Cruelty Squad game unless I put in the stock market. So I don't forget how everything works. So pretty much the entire idea is that you want to invest in the stock market. Every stock isn't going to be tied to a die roll. So, for example, you might have something like Cruelty, let's say Cruelty Squad stock. It currently is at $10. $10 per stock. Pretty standard. Now, at the end, but it might also be a D, we'll say pretty standard. We'll say it's a D23. So, And let's say, for example, with a D23, let's just do a little bit of roll D, actually be a D23 divided by 2, which would be 12. Let's say, for example, you roll a 14. The right thing? Let's say you roll a 14. 14 is 2 over the center, so after the mission, the Cruelty Squad stock has increased to $12. It's still D23, however. That's kind of the volatility. It can go up, it can go down dramatically, because it's a stock. Organ stocks don't change. So you can, if you really want to, then buy organs, then get organs. Harvest them, rip people apart in the middle of the mission, and steal their organs. It's not illegal, it's just not strictly legal. Even on things like, hey, we need to catch fish. Fish money doesn't change. Organ stocks never change. They will raise gradually until they're sold, then they will drop dramatically. The other two weird ones are agent stocks, which pretty much allow you to buy shares in your friends and take a little percentage of their money every time you succeed at a mission. You can say, hey, I'm going to buy 10% of you. So every mission we complete, I get 10% of the money you make, even if you die. Or it's like, oh, here's the meta stocks, which are how you level up. That's kind of the joke, is that you're investing in yourself. Which the more you invest in yourself, the more you're going to, quote, level up. It's you gaining more skills, it's you gaining better attributes, yada, yada, yada. Not exactly the most complicated thing in the world, but it doesn't need to be complicated. But we also like the stock market. So we've got all of that. Which does bring me to... Where is it? Which brings me to the mission setup. Mission setup is going to be pretty standard. It's going to be a phase system. Which we're going to be doing. Okay, so it's going to be, let me just do, okay. Phase is pretty much going to be like, this is how it is. Like, I don't expect this campaign to have, like, this kind of game to have a story necessarily. That's not the point. You're not supposed to have a story. It's supposed to be kind of a meta commentary about something. So you start off at the HQ. This is a time for you to role play. Then you're going to get your mission briefing. You're going to get your mission briefing. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And how are you going to set up? Then you're going to be in the mission proper. The mission proper is going to let you do things. And that's like you learning about things. It's you kind of understanding. It's you going about your business in the particular mission. And then detox. Detox is all about how much money you actually made, if you succeeded any side objectives, and generally what the results were. Detox is also when you roll for all your stocks. So your stocks might dramatically decrease, or dramatically increase, perhaps. Now this does bring me to... Yeah, I'm going to put this as a note down here. So we're going to have attributes that do nothing. Attributes that do nothing, sort of. Sorta. We're going to have a system of, just so I do not forget. How do I want to word this? Pretty much one of the big ideas is that as a Cruelty Squad member, you are going, it's like you're going to have the head slot, body slot, arms slot, and legs slot. That's pretty much where you can slot all your augmentations, your cybertronics. Or I should actually do them properly, bio-cybertronics. Your bio-cybertronic augments, because that's cool. that's where you're going to be like, oh, I want to turn my fucking heart into like a super beating machine. I'm probably going to have to, like, that's going to be the longest bit. I can tell you that right now, is writing out all the different things, which luckily I have the actual game itself to reference, which you're not going to get the weird ones right away, but I'm probably going to throw in a couple of ones for the game proper to kind of say, like, hey, you can kind of create your own. Actually, I should do that. And skills directly tied to the fact that skills would be corporate, are going to be pretty much corporate lingo. You know, you're not going to have medicine. It's going to be pharmaceuticals. It's going to be shit like that. That's kind of the idea. Let me see if I can fucking spell correctly. There we go. It's like, yeah, I have a skill in pharmaceuticals rather than medicine. And kind of, I want to build the idea, like the core concept, you could say. I'm going to put this right down here because I can. So, the core concept is very simply, as an agent, you are a corporate you're a corporate drone going on a odyssey of self-reflection. Because at the end of the day, Cruelty Squad is a story of a man waking up from a depression nap. That is the plot of Cruelty Squad. If anyone tells you differently, they're wrong. Yeah, so that's kind of the basic concepts here. Everything should work pretty well. I think like the biggest issues that I'm gonna have to run into is going to be skills. Just kind of getting out, like wording out the skills is going to be a pain in the ass. That and getting, where was it? Kind of getting things like this. It's going to be the options to make the game sing. That's going to be the problem. This is going to be pretty easy to do. Like the combat system's not going to be complicated. The missions system, not going to be complicated. This is going to be, I will say this right away, this is going to be definitely be a game of the GM's kind of got to know what the fuck he's doing. This is not going to be a game for like, I want to play this with my friends with absolutely zero. No. This is something you got to prepare. And this is going to be one of my few games where I'm going to have to put in a GM section specifically for people being like, hey, here's a CEO's handbook. Hey, literally try to have a broad idea and start applying it everywhere, even when they don't realize. If you want to do a Norse mythology Cruelty Squad game where the entire idea, where you're trying to stop Ragnarok, but you also kind of want to continue and just like make Ragnarok happen, go for it. If you want to make an entire Evangelion reference, fuck it, do it. Who cares? Or you want to make it as simple, you want to make it really simple. Hey, this is a game about waking up from a cruelty squad. This is a game about waking up from a depression nap and all of the issues that go along with it. That's kind of my idea. Everything should work pretty easily. I think the central system's going to be weird. Like, I hope everybody knows that. It's going to be weird, but I've given myself that as a single requirement, and I am ready. I am ready for the glorious world of having to roll. Say, please roll me a D9, because I hate you. Okay, this brings me to unlocking that. 2, 3. We move down here. And then that brings us to Trenchfoot. Now, trenchfoot is actually a fairly simple, kind of simple concept. I actually kind of did a little bit of work for it, not much. So the entire idea is that it is a RNG-less war game. Now, what does RNG-less actually mean? It does mean that there's no dice rolls or anything. Everything is very clearly stated of what will occur. And you may say, how is this entertaining? How is this fun? Usually the case there is it's hidden information. And that's one thing I kind of want to emphasize. Because I want to play it like pretty standard like a war game, but also kind of doing a little bit of Kriegspiel. There's a little bit of Kriegspiel in there. So, for example, let's say this is our beautiful map. And let's say there is a big divide right here, and here's a little town over here. There we go. Like here's the situation. We've started a game, and now we need to draw our battle lines. Now, both players are going to decide kind of like which armies everyone's playing and stuff like that, but it's kind of like, okay, where do we want to build our initial battle lines? Let's say player 1 wants to build his lines kind of like this. He wants to hold the line here, and he does not want to. He has a simple objective. Now the enemy doesn't know this objective. You know, his primary objective. And his primary objective is to make sure this town does not fall to the enemy. That's like his kind of secret objective that nobody knows about. However, the enemy has kind of said, hey, you need to try to take like this area. That's kind of the big idea. You need to push up here. So there's two objectives that he has to try to succeed at. Now, the enemy wants to draft their line. He says, I know he wants to take this, so what I'm going to do is build a defensive line around here. So it's kind of like I have like a little backup here. I'm doing good. We've kind of met on the field. We're good. However, I have my objective that I have very specifically lined up. I want to take here, and he has given me an objective to actually take the village. So it's kind of like okay, we have kind of like our own primary objectives. He knows that I want to take the village, and I know he wants to assault me. We don't know about each other's secret objectives either. So it's kind of like, okay, like if I make like a push going this way, it's like, okay, something is happening here. They clearly know I want to do something. That's kind of the concept. The basic idea is you're hiding information from one another to do things. Which is, at the core, it's a hidden information game. However, this is where things get a little bit wonky about it. Because this is going to be World War I. That's kind of like the very specific idea behind things, is that this is going to be World War I. Because actually, fun fact, World War I war games, there aren't actually that many World War I war games. I thought that was actually very fascinating. And it's like, you would think that there would be like more of them, but there really aren't. There's a lot of board games though, kind of like the kind of hex and shit, or there's a lot of these kinds of games, which I actually find very fascinating. Hex and chit is what these are called. And, you're moving the little hexes around, little chits, kind of trying to make sure you flank around the enemy. Very detailed board games. Great War at Sea, Fatal Alliances, Path of Glory. But no like strict war game, like sitting on the table doing things. The only one I could really find was Blood and Valor. This was the only one I could really find, and kind of doing a basic look through of it. I didn't really get World War I trench warfare time to grind, as it was very much a skirmish game. Here's the Roblox version of it. Yeah, like it's an interesting idea. Don't get me wrong. Like I respect the hustle here. I respect what they're doing. But it's like, okay, I wanna do a little bit of, I wanna mix the two because I want to experiment. So one of the big ideas is that not only do you have hidden information, you have hidden soldier information. And the basic concepts of the soldiers, if I remember correctly, is, I'm going to put it as a combat value, but it's like infantry. Infantry have like a CV of 1. So the idea is that 1 infantry will destroy 1 infantry. Like if they assault one another, you're going to just trade. With one, this is where things get a little bit more complicated, is the idea of like who's defending, who's attacking, because there's also orders happening at the same time. So, you know, hidden soldier information. How do I want to do this? There's actually a Napoleonic War game that did something similar. I can't remember what it was. Someone's typing. Gotta make sure everyone understands. So, let's see. So, it was oh, that didn't. So we had infantry at CV1. No, it was CV1-2 because the entire idea is that they are better on defense. Cavalry was CV1-1, but they had a movement of 2. Because everything was going to be also in inches because I hate myself. Then we had artillery, which artillery doesn't move, but artillery gives everyone a +1, a +2/+2. But has an atrociously small movement. So it's hard to reposition artillery. And then it was guards, which are CV2-4. Move as infantry, but they're a little bit more expensive. And then we have irregulars, which are CV 001 is I think how I did it. So, but the problem is, the big thing is that a vast majority of people are just going to see a block. They're going to see you have four blocks lined up on a single trench. They know that there you have 4 bits. They don't know if those are 4 guards, 4 infantry, 4 what. They do not know. And because they don't know, they want to look at it and they want to think about it. And they're going to be like, well, I want to dedicate this, I want to dedicate this, I want to do this, I want to do this. However, you might reveal that you have, for example, 2 infantry and an irregular. So your combat value is going to be on defense 6, is going to be 7. You're going to take out 7 units, and depending on how much they have, they're going to take out the same amount of units. But it could also be, hey, I'm massing soldiers. Because think about it. Think about it like this. So let's say, for example, I'll use yellow here. You clearly see, actually no, yellow, terrible color. What am I doing? We'll use cyan. So let's say, for example, you see me massing soldiers here. I've moved some lines around. I have 4 lines of soldiers here. And you also see that I have 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. You know, and I only got 1 here. However, you're kind of massing kind of like this. Kind of very defensive. And you want to take the city. You pretty much want to rush into the city. So we're looking at each other like, what's everyone doing? Then our orders go through. Which, let's say I'm as the general, I'm positioned right here. This is where I the general am located. And let's say you're positioned right here. So your orders are going to reach faster than mine in certain areas, because you're going to have to measure where all the orders are coming in from. And then the big assault happens. Oh no, we're assaulting. How do we deal? How do we deal with the fact that we are assaulting a position? So it could be, hey, I want these guys to advance and try to take this trench line. You kind of gave them the order to advance as well, so we meet in the field, which is a kind of a fucking mess for everybody. Nobody wins, really. But you also gave these guys the order to advance up here and pretty much establish a new line and kind of have these guys join along. They haven't taken the village yet, but these guys have, and trying to advance as well. So all these orders happen at once, and since all the orders are happening at once, everyone kind of clashes together, and it's like, well, shit, here's the new phase. Now, here's the new month of fighting. Lasts a certain amount of time before, or you just start exhausting everything. So, let's see. Actually, we can do based on week. Turns are based on weeks, which we can do gas, warfare, gas. How do I want to do? Gas, trenches, and we'll say boots. Because it's a RNG-less war game, we want to do timing. We'll do timing is important. One of the color ideas is position of the general. Position of the general is fundamental. Let's see, position of the general is fundamental. With distance resolving turn order. So because I'm here, I'm farther away than there. So these guys will always act first, which could be, hey, we want to just establish a new line over here, and be like, well, shit. Or hey, we want to hold the fort here, and now you just watch your guys get obliterated just fucking immediately. How do I want to do this? So units must be, actually orders must be written out. Must be actually, so orders must be written out with only a certain amount of time between them. So for example, it's like you can kind of see your opponent. If I'm playing this on the table, like you can see your opponent looking across, and you know you're kind of measuring it out. He's trying to measure like this star to this trench. So you're like, okay, he might be trying to do something there. So you're looking here, but he has this star over here. So you're like, okay, where's this? So I should do timing is important. Orders must be set out between them. But it's like, okay, everyone gets like 3 actions or something. Actually, do 3 orders. Order per trench. That could work. So order per trench line. So you're trying to like just build up more trench lines, but there's nobody in there. So you're a little bit lacking for locations and like how long they are. That could actually be a pretty big facet of things. So, do I have my... So something like I'm kind of just doing this off of like just my mind right now. So think of like 4 inches, 4-inch trench can hold like four units. 6-inch trench, can hold 6 units, kind of like an inch a unit kind of thing. With the idea being like if a bigger trench just assaults a small one, they're going to overrun it. Which easier to take a trench, either take a trench then build a trench. So it's kind of like the idea like, oh, these guys want to build a trench, but there's 1 2 3 4 5 6, so they're going to have to build like a 6-inch line like right here, which is a big fucking trench they're all going to have to now deal with. But they also have a little bit less to maneuver with, unless they want to build like, oh, I want to build a little trench, and a little trench. A bunch of little trenches, but they're also kind of out of position, so these guys can swoop over this direction and kind of flank behind them. So it's kind of you want a position where everyone is, and also where everything is, as well as you're kind of moving around and trying to guess where everybody is. So I think one of the big things to note is need a system for information. Probably something like a listening post that you can establish, like as an order to establish a listening post. That could work. Not perfect, but it could work. Yeah. I think the core concept of it'll work. I think it's just going to be a lot of little double checks and little confirmations, and like list building is going to be kind of a bitch to do, which most of them aren't going to be. I don't think most are going to be that. Here, what I can do is so obviously we're going to have, so it would be the French Republic. Actually, what we can do technically is we can do this ally, we can do the Entente. The Entente versus the Central Powers, with along the idea that you kind of have to then pick a certain, pick an entity underneath it. So it would be like the Entente. So they would have the French Republic, British Empire, and it would be half of me, I wonder if there's any technically the Japanese Empire would be valid. If I wanted to make this official, it would be the American Expeditionaries. It would be French Republic, British Empire, Russian Empire, American Expeditionary Force, the Italian Army. I guess we could do like first wave, second wave, third wave. That could work. Probably not the most efficient. That doesn't sound good. Serbia, yeah, I guess it would be. I guess you can do first wave. So it would be first wave, second wave, third wave. So it would be 1914. Depending on which era you're in, you can probably, it'll be like different things. That could be fun. You know, we'll say 1916. Then we do 1917 to 1918. 1915 to 1916. Which it would be Russian Empire, French Republic, British Empire. Technically the Empire of Japan? I guess. I mean, they didn't bring too many to bear. Yeah, like half of me was like, do I bother, putting in the Empire of Japan? Like, who did the Japanese fight? So let's see. Allies. But they didn't really do much. They were mostly naval support, and they assisted with the taking over some of the Eastern. So I guess we could not bring them in. Technically, we can bring in like Serbia, Montenegro. Bosnia and Herzegovina. So then the second wave would be Kingdom of Italy. The Portuguese Republic. And then we can do like Kingdom of Romania. Which I think like the main ones are going to be like the Russians, the French, the British. I guess you could add in like the Serbs, the Italians. Like the Italians mobilize a shit ton of people. Fucking Portuguese didn't mobilize anybody. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. No, we'll do the major ones that we need, and then third wave would be United States of America. Mobilized a lot of people. Yeah, US was the only one who really mobilized a lot of people. And then we would need to do Central Powers of World War One. Which would be... This is it. Ah, of course. It would be, the Central Powers has Bulgaria. Oh, bye. So yeah, the Central Powers just has German Empire, Austria-Hungary, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. You know, Bulgaria. I guess you would be. These would be the first one, with Bulgaria being only in the second wave. So kind of the idea, like, as the Germans, you can fight in first wave the Russians, the French, the British. However, in the second wave, as the Italians, you can fight the Bulgarians if you want, or some shit like that. That should work. The Allies are a little bit more complicated if you don't know. Every now and again, you read up on World War I, and you're like, man, this is kind of a fucking mess between everybody. Austro-Hungarian Empire, Ottoman Empire, there we go. Oh. Bulgaria. How can we forget Bulgaria? The proud Bulgarians. Sorry to all my Bulgarian viewers. And that brings us to our final one. Again, this isn't a problem. These things are never too long because I don't really have that much to talk about outside of me just looking at things. So, for the one we're going to be working on here, this is going to be Monster Girl Adventures Remonstered. Yeah, this one's going to be an odd one because it's a Redux project. That's the big thing. It's a Redux project of a fucking mess. Let's see, how big is this game? Ah, yes, it's a little over 124 fucking pages. It is 124 pages exactly. So, ooh, wow. I genuinely do not know how I want to handle this. I'm going to be honest with everybody involved. Yeah, I like the... Well, let's think about... Let's actually, like, honest to God, think about how would we want to do this. We can keep the system in general. Like... Yeah, it's like we're going to have to keep the system roughly. I think the system works. It's just there's just a lot of it. There we go. Yeah, so it's D6. It's a D6. Keep the system rustling. It's a D6 dice pool with 4 up successes. So that would be pretty much D6 with a 4, 5, or 4, 5, or 6 being a success. That's kind of the core idea. You have a 50-50 on your dice pool. Now normally what happens is that it's a 5 or 6. 5 or 6 to reduce the likelihood on things. I want to keep it a little bit easier because that's not the point. But that does give me an interesting idea. That does lead to a fairly fascinating concept, which is a little bit more complicated to address. Which is something that... Went outside my fucking window. Living on the first floor has this issue, but there's just a bush there. Now this does lead to a very fascinating situation. Actually, where we can either maintain the MGE. This is kind of like option A. Or we can do with option B, which is go comfy. Or go bloody. Now, what does this actually mean? Like, currently at the end of the day, Monster Girl Adventures is it's a Monster Girl encyclopedia game. At the very end of the day, it is a Monster Girl encyclopedia game that happens to hello K9. It is a Monster Girl encyclopedia game that does happen to include other things, which if we continue down this, pretty much we're going to keep a lot of the basic concepts. We're just going to have to, how do I want to do this? Remajigger some of it. It's going to be shaved down. Pretty much it's going to be shaved down to, quote, canon acceptability. With the core idea being like, we're going to take away everything that doesn't need to be there, strip it away, and then go from there. So anything that isn't part of the original Monster Girl encyclopedia world, as of right now, gets cut. Just is cut to, cut down. And this does lead to an interesting situation of, actually what I should do is put this one in the middle. Because ultimately speaking, like, you have one, like, the biggest issue with this version is that Monster Girl Encyclopedia sucks. Terrible fucking story. It's a terrible fucking setting to run literally anything in. And anyone who thinks that it's a decent setting to run literally anything in is wrong. Like, it's hard to be so objectively wrong about things. Because it is a Coomer setting, that's the point. It's not you're not supposed to think very hard with Monster Girl Encyclopedia. But, shaved down to canon acceptability. And the big thing, though, it's mostly going to be the adventure of how I met your mother. That's kind of the concept of it. It's like, this is the story of, me, your mother, and how everything went good. Because the problem is, Monster Girl Encyclopedia has the concept of true love in it, which is a very simple concept, which is, you will find your soulmate. Somewhere out there, there is a monster girl who loves you to the point of absurdity, where she will adapt to you just as much as you will adapt to her. It is a perfect compatibility and nothing goes wrong. However, Casey is also a dumbass and has accidentally put in so many little caveats and notes to that, it makes it really, really difficult. And there's also all the other weird shit in it, which is, like, I don't address it very much. Like, that's like one of the big things, is I don't really address it much, but again, but I've said it here before, is Casey is a corruption fetishist, and he's a lolicon. That is just two things Casey is. The closer you understand who Kenku Cross is, the easier it is to understand why MG is the way that it is. If you believe he does anything different or anything more, you're going to feel very mistaken. Which is kind of the issue when it comes to, like, if you want to make things canon as possible, then it's like, strip out a lot of the conflict systems. Like, generally speaking, conflicts need to be, like, reworked entirely. Fighting needs to be very simplified. Like, fighting is not the point of this version, which is, if we move over to the, the Go Comfy version of, this is a friendly friendly fantasy adventure with monster girls. This is a friendly fantasy adventure where we all love each other and everything's great and wonderful and nothing goes wrong. That's the big idea. Nothing goes wrong. And we then go here, which is this. Blood, death, and guitar. Blood, death, and guitars, and monster girls. Now, the worst part is, technically all of these are valid. It's like something you kind of gotta understand, which does break down to shave down into like a lot of the combat system is going to be shaved down, which is, and we're going to have to re-emphasize the relationship mechanics over a bit. Like, I'm going to take, like, generally speaking, the comfy version is going to share far more similarity to JTRPGs than anything. Like, honestly, it's going to be far more about like little constructed adventures rather than like an overarching story. While on the other hand, the Go Bloody, which is going to be shaved down for anything, shaved down to a bloody combat simulator with unique features. You know, it's fucking Monster Girl Combat Show or something like that, which brings it down, which is going to be far more detailed in the combat and conflict resolution. Now, these three cannot quite exist together, which leads to a very fascinating situation of like, these do not meld well together, which is kind of an issue. You know, however, this is also like a big thing to like note as well, which is something like to understand about the entire. I sneezed there. About the entire affair is effectively this. You know, maintaining the MGDE is not going bloody or being comfy, but it also is the, you know, kind of the, how do I want to say it? You know, the central focus. Like, that's kind of the issue with Monster Girl Encyclopedia in general, which is like a big issue that like no one's been really able to answer because it's not really an answerable question. It's like, hey, do you believe that Monster Girl Encyclopedia is deeper than it actually is? And that's kind of the current crux of the issues. Like, you can make a few arguments going a variety of directions, but there's no like good central focus, because they are not all of these, but they are all MGE in a way, depending on your interpretation on it. So this is going to be like, I got time on this one, to be honest, which I'm going to ask people. I'm honestly going to ask them, be like, what do y'all fucking want? This is going to be pretty much my send-off to the entire thing. I'll probably keep the original version around, but it's very much going to be like, this is what the people wanted. These are what the people asked for, and sayonara. I never have to think about it again. So, yeah, there we go. I think we're doing pretty good. I think we got everything there. Do we have anything else to really go over? No, I think we should be pretty good in that regard. So, actually, I should do these more often, but I don't because I'm me. And we'll do you right there. We'll do you right there. Which is the video schedule as of right now. The video schedule as of right now is we're doing Vanguard Fall of Varmisk. Varmisk will be up by Friday, which is going to be 5/13. It's kind of my goal, and that's one of the things that I want to get done because it's an interesting game for all of the wrong reasons, and I want to go over it because I think it will be funny. And furry games haunt my every waking moment. I cannot escape them. They hunt me down. Most likely from there we will do Our Traveling Home. Our Traveling Home, it would be it will be not Monday, it will be next Wednesday. It'll be next week. It would be 5/18. And from there, it's kind of a little bit more nebulous. I was thinking about doing, we go up here. It's kind of, I might do one of the TG games. Or actually, you know what would be a good one? Just to kind of like, welcome back. Hey, fuck boys, welcome back. I might do I might do Power Rangers Essence 20. Because if you want my like early opinion on, fucking Essence 20 is, I think that game has a lot of potential. And that's kind of the sad part about it, is that it had a lot of potential and I was very interested in it, and I'm curious of where it actually goes. I want to see what happens to the Essence 20 system. Because right now, its current offerings are a little bit rough, but I don't know if it's rough because it's early and doesn't work. And, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's teething pains or I don't know if it's just bad. That's kind of the issue right now. Like, this is a first edition of a game that's never been tested and it really needs to find its self. Like, that's kind of the issue. Like, it kind of needs to find who it is, for better or for worse. So, thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad, and hopefully everything sounded all right. Hopefully everything is decent. I will be back on Friday. Friday will start officially on Cruelty Squad, actually. It may not be like, well, you just did this, but like everything was already written out, as you can already kind of tell. So it's just going to be me writing it. I don't know how long that's going to be, though. But this Saturday, actually, we're going to be going over TG's Dusty Closet. And on the 21st, we're going to be going over, it was TG's Dusty Closet, and then it was going to be, oh yeah, Chaos. It was going to be Chaos. So have fun. I'm going to have fun with that, just picking a few random games that I just kind of want to go over because they seem interesting to me. So yeah, thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Godspeed, good luck, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the videos, or follow me on Twitch. Am I doing it right, Susan? Susan, please.